Ready? You recording?
Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to call to order the Wednesday, February 5th, 2025 Ione City Special Meeting to order. Janice, can you call roll?
Member Atlas.
Here.
Member Payne. Here. Councilmember Mitchell.
Here.
Vice Mayor Maida.
Here.
And Mayor Rhodes.
Here. Will you all join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Open up public comment to any items that are not on the agenda. Any items not on the agenda? Close public comment, items not on the agenda. We have two closed session items tonight. First one is conference with real properties negotiators, Castle Oaks Drive, negotiator George Lee. Second one is conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation. We'll take public comment before. We're going to try and max it to 10 minutes. And then after, if you want to do public comment, you can do it again. So if anyone wants to do public comment now on this item, please come to the podium. I'll give you a maximum of like a minute or two, but we're going to try and keep it short in the beginning and then we can let you talk at the end.
You get 4 minutes.
My name is Susan Priest. I live at 627 Fairway Drive. And I have some comments that I'd like to share with everybody. The first thing I'd like to say is that we would all like some transparency from the city council. And the next thing that I'd like to talk about is the financial situation of the county. I'll give you a little bit of my background. I'm a retired CPA. I worked for the County of Sacramento for 20 years. Several of those years were with the Auditor Controller's Office. I ended up retiring as the Deputy Director of Human Services. And I was in charge of all the administration, and there was probably 800 employees under me. And I had human resources, I had the accounting function, I had the computers, I had the accounting. So I had basically all the administrative functions. And I'm saying this because I'm very, very familiar with what the government requirements are and what the requirements are for audits and for financial records. And so my first issue is, I understand that there's not been an audit in 3 years, and I would like to know why that is and where we are with that. The next thing I want to say is we've asked for a public record request for the current financial statements. We want a balance sheet or statement of assets and liabilities as of 12/31/24. And we'd also like a statement of revenue expenditures. We'd just like to review them. My other question that I have is, I know there hasn't been an audit, so we don't have a clean opinion on 3 years. However, there should be accounting records and there should be an accounting system in place that has adequate internal controls and the ability to maintain records of restricted funds, unrestricted funds, cost by project. All those things should be available to you. So what I'm not understanding, because I've heard one of the things is, we don't know how much money we have. We don't know if it's restricted, unrestricted. We really can't tell. Well, that seems kind of ridiculous to me because your accounting software, even if it's not audited, should be able to provide that information. So I'd be very interested in knowing why we can't seem to get that information.
Your time's up. You can hand it off to someone else if you want.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to segue, this is Patrice Press, I'm going to segue a little bit of what Susan said, except from the accounting, because she's the expert in that field, and I'm a compliance auditor, but in medical. We would like to know some questions. Have you all spoken to your constituents about what they want to see happen with this golf course? And we'd like to know, are you advocating for the golf course to be sold, or have you found a buyer? Is there any interested buyers? Also, we haven't had a chance to meet with Jody at all to know what your opinion on the golf course is, or the closing of the golf course. And also, what happens if the golf course closes? Is the land going to go to hell in a handbasket? What's going to happen to the buildings? Is Mr. Hahn going to just let them rot? I mean, what's going to happen? Also, let's see. And do you have any plans on selling the land to a developer? Is that kind of on your back burner? And mostly we wanted to know, actually, of what you as individuals have to, what your feelings are on the golf course, and what you feel about the golf course, and if you think the golf course is a money generator, and it has been a money generator, I was told, for like 3 decades. And one can't kind of work with the other. I don't think the golf course can be without the buildings, and the buildings can't be without the golf course. So we want to encourage you, not just as property owners on Castle Oaks, but I think the city benefits from it, and it's a draw for the city. And that's all we'll say for now.
Thank you, Patrice.
Hi, my name is Ron Ligori. I live at 808 Fairway Drive in Ione. And I really want to just mention on behalf of fellow golfers and fellow residents in the area, I'd like to know if we could get a clear picture of what really is going on, because there's so much rumor and inaccurate information being spread around. And I think it's only fair that we get some kind of square idea as to where this process is going. I'd like to express my concern regarding the recent announcement that the Hahn Corporation intends to terminate their lease and cease operations at the course. As a resident for over 13 years, I'm deeply concerned that the potential negative impact of this possible closure could have on our community. As you know, Castle Oaks serves as a primary attraction in our town, draws visitors, and provides recreational opportunities for all of its residents. The golf course is not only a source of pride and enjoyment, it also plays a crucial role in our local economy and our community spirit. Additionally, the course is an essential component for our wastewater management system, further underscoring the importance for this town. If the ongoing negotiations between the parties do not yield a way forward to keep the course open and preserve a significant jewel for our community, I put together a list of 5 or 6 alternatives for the city to consider in terms of how to keep the golf course alive and well, and I'll present them here rather than go into detail on each one. Thank you.
Thank you.
I thought I had 4 minutes, do I? Because I
You got
wrote it.
2.
I wrote it.
You got 2.
What about the other 2 I got here?
You can pass on to someone else. We're just trying to get it first 10 minutes before the meetings, so don't go forever.
I mean, I object to that. It's always 4, but
My name is Paul Parati and I live at 610 Castle Oaks Drive in Ione. I recognize I only have 4 minutes, I thought, so I will hit on my salient points related to the current situation at the golf course. First, we, the Castle Oaks community, are appalled at the lack of transparency, forthrightness, and honesty as it relates to the months-long ordeal around the negotiations regarding the land, building, and ownership of the golf course. It is hard to fathom the disconnect we feel that this council has with the Castle Oaks community. You are our elected officials too. There seems to be no interest in keeping people informed with what is happening. As a former superintendent of schools in a large school district serving 3 different cities in Santa Clara County, special meetings would be held if business for the special meeting was agreed upon by the school board. The board president never dictated when, how, and why a special meeting was to be held. Clearly, that is not the case in Ione. It seems the mayor does what he wants, what he wishes. Here we are, the constituents and residents, able to follow the changing nature of the dates and times of these special meetings. With regards to the meetings and the negotiations related to the golf course, all we hear is that the council cannot talk about the item publicly because of the Brown Act. This is total BS. I was involved in over 750 Brown Act meetings as a superintendent at schools. You were allowed to keep people informed and updated about the general nature of what is going on in closed session. Yes, you cannot talk about or release information related to the negotiations, but the general nature of the discussion is fair game. More bluntly stated, there is nothing preventing the council from emerging from a closed session meeting with the statement, "We have made significant progress towards our collective goal to keep the golf course open." Our concern as of late is we are hearing that there is a contingent of Ionians who are not only do not want the golf.
Your
course-
time's up.
Oh, come on.
You can read it when we're out on a meeting. We're trying to get
I
it
was
short.
told I had 4 minutes when I looked at it.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
advertised.
we
It says
changed
4
it.
minutes. I wrote
We
4
changed
minutes.
it because
What?
of we changed it because there's so many
Oh, well,
people.
thank you.
No, we didn't change
We
it.
didn't
The
change it.
mayor changed it.
It is.
Hello, C. Ray Brower at 580 Castle Oaks Drive. I'm a new resident here. I moved in June. I am a broker associate with Epic Realty. And this whole thing that I've heard, and I know I'm new, so I don't know everything that's going on. But this city needs the revenue that's coming in from that golf course, I believe. Somebody made a statement that hasn't been forthright. We don't know what they're getting, but I live on the first fairway and I see a lot of golfers out there. That means the city's getting revenue. That golf course closes, I will be the first one to go to every resident in Ione, telling them that they need to have their property reassessed, because every property in this city will lose their value. And if they lose their value, it needs to be reassessed, which means the city loses county money. It loses that tax money coming into the city. Am I right?
No.
So again, I will be the first one to step up and see everybody in this town. I will knock on every door myself personally. I will send out mail. I will be there to tell them we need to get reassessed if that golf course closes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart.
You can grab my last minute now.
I'll take it. More bluntly stated, there is nothing preventing this council from emerging from a closed session meeting with the statement, "We have made significant progress towards our collective goal to keep." Our concern as of late is we are hearing that there is a contingent of Ionians who not only do not want the golf course, but are trying to foster a future Ione without a golf course by direct influence on the council members. We were repeatedly told through the grapevine that the council is supportive of keeping Castle Oaks open. We are not sure we believe that anymore. If Castle Oaks were to close, the city of Ione could not absorb the mass of litigation and legal entanglements that would start immediately. These lawsuits would come from not only the Castle Oaks homeowners, but many other affected parties, including those involved in negotiations. I foresee a bankrupt city of Ione very quickly. Is this what we want? Hell no. Are we headed in this direction? I sure hope not. But if our property values are going to decline by 100 to 200,000 per parcel, then you can be assured we will be willing to pay for the necessary litigation that will follow. All it would take tonight is that the vice mayor and the mayor to publicly state, "We strongly support a golf course in Ione, and it is our intent to make sure Castle Oaks stays open." All you have to do is say that right now, or hold an open meeting.
We strongly support it.
I very strongly support it. I'll do everything in my power to make sure this place that it does stay open.
Here we are.
And all the rumors you're hearing are not true. It's just we cannot say for legal reasons, but we all support you and we're going to fight to the death to make sure that golf course stays open. Just so you all know. Any other public comment?
Mia Huss. I live on Oakshire Drive. I'm not a Castle Oaks resident, but I'm speaking as a citizen, a concerned citizen, the youngest person in the room. I've seen this crap go on so friggin' long, you guys. I am exhausted. I am tired of looking at the next door posts every week. I'm tired of seeing the Facebook posts. I know the Brown Act I know it like the back of my hand. I write about you guys all the time. But sitting here and there hasn't been an update in months is very discouraging as someone who wants to live here and stay here. But also, I've seen the golf course thrive. I have family on the golf course, and I just don't, if you're really fighting to the death to keep it open, I don't really see the effort. I mean, sure, you're probably putting some effort behind closed doors, but really, I mean, we don't have any update at all. And it just doesn't sit right with me as a person, as a reporter, as a citizen. It just doesn't sit right with me. And I did not expect this many people to be here. So you pissed enough people off for this council room to be busy. So
I agree.
I just pray, and I don't pray often, but I pray that you guys have an update for us. Just anything. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mia. Okay, any other public comment before we go in closed session? Okay, we'll close public comment.
Okay, I got a point of order. I would like to hold this waive closed session for the golf course item and hold it in open session so everybody can hear what's going on for themselves. We're allowed to do that by.
I would love to do that too.
I'll second that.
I would love to do that, but we can't legally do that.
We can.
No,
Yes, we
can't.
can.
You can do it with a vote of the council.
Doug White, Deputy City Attorney. So certainly the council always has the right to have things going, but it would also create an enormous legal liability for you to do so and would probably put you in breach of several different agreements. So it would be city attorney's recommendation from a liability perspective, and so you're not in breach of your contracts, that you not do it. That being said, council can always has the prerogative to do that. You know, it's just, you have to couch it in the perspective of liability and breach of contract.
Okay, well, I still think we should hold it in open session.
I don't, because I don't want the liability.
And I believe there is a lot of information we can share that is not in breach.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that there actually will be a lot of information that we can make public, but council has to go in and figure out a direction of what they want to go. I think, so
Understood.
for the public, let me preface this because I'm the new kid in town, but I have a lot of background in terms of looking at the document, and I do this in a lot of other different cities. So one, I think it's fair to assure the public that there have been extensive negotiations and discussions behind the scenes to try to resolve this issue and keep the golf course open. First and foremost, there's lots of documentation to support that. I think every city council member who's on there would be able to substantiate that in terms of the previous closed sessions that they have and things of that nature. And it's certainly not a breach of closed session to be able to say that. Second, we're dealing with a private business who has a lease with the city. It is beyond, there are whether or not that business decides to breach its agreement with the lease, with the city and close its operations, and the impact that it has is beyond the control of the city council. The city council can only determine what it can do in response to that. Two of the parcels are not owned by the city, they're owned by them, and that's the clubhouse and the maintenance facility. The only thing that the city actually owns is the links themselves and things that go into it. So with respect to that, there has to be a fundamental understanding that this is not completely within the city's control, and that and to that extent, we have to be reactive instead of being proactive, because we have to wait for somebody to breach an agreement before we can take certain things, including legal action. Thirdly, what I can assure the public before we go in and actually talk about it, because that's the purpose of kind of getting to a resolution point tonight, is the fact that any and all options, including ones that have never been explored, are going to be presented to the council tonight for consideration, and we'll see what direction that we ultimately get. But with that being said, all the different options, there are pros and cons to each of them. So with that, it's probably my recommendation that we go in there. Council can, after we go there, if we want to repeat some of this stuff, council member, like in public, then some of it can be repeated in public, and you can have some of those discussions in there. I think it's probably advisable from your city attorney's perspective to have an initial conversation in private to figure out some of those issues that you should be concerned about, and then you could take some of the conversation out public if you'd like.
Well, we were told 6 months ago that we were just about at the point where we could go in open session. And as everyone's saying, we had no meeting, no update since December 3rd. Here we are, February. I would like to, again, I don't think that there's anything that we discussed out here that, the price has been set. I don't know what type of things that we may be in breach of is what you're referring to. So the price has been set, the conditions have been set. So again, everyone wants to be transparent. Let's be transparent.
So in that vein, let me be transparent with you, right? So when you talk about a price has been set, there has been a request for price, but there has been negotiations that have gone before, and there has been no agreement as it relates to price and a discussion of price out in public where Mr. Hahn could see that if it was the city's intention to buy the property would probably prejudice your negotiating position. So that'd be first. Number two, when you talk about legal action that you would seek to initiate and you have to go through all the whole bunch of different options, it would require us to show our litigation strategy to the person by which we would be doing that. So that probably wouldn't be very advisable either. And then ultimately, I think when you get past some of those threshold issues is where we can come back to the public and have a discussion about what's in the, what the intention is and how we're going to go. Again, and I say this with all due respect to the public because I'm very sensitive to the fact that these people are going to have probably property values affected, reasons for buying homes affected, and things of that nature. So I understand the sensitivity of it, but there has to be some allowance and some grace that's given to the city council to be able to afford us to be able to make decisions without the person who we would be taking legal action against, knowing what we plan on doing and the rationale for it and what our legal strategy would be. So with that,
My opinion is we should do both. We should go in.
Yeah.
And I encourage you to stay, please, because I've been doing this for only 6 weeks, and I want to be as transparent as possible. I really, truly do. And it's frustrating for all of us, and it's frustrating for myself. I'm new to this process, so be patient with me on that also. But I think we need to do something, and I really hope that we come out tonight and we can actually offer some information for you. Okay? So please stick around.
All right, anything else, council?
Unless I have any questions from council that they'd like us to ask before, or like us to answer before we go in to close session.
All right, we'll go into closed session. Thank you.
I'll be recusing myself as I live on the golf course.
I'll let Bird the hammer.
So, remember, I think we got in a dialogue and I apologize. There was a motion and a second on the floor. So we do probably need to take, because there was a second on the motion, we probably need to take a formal vote. So the motion, as I understand it, unless the council member wants to retract it for the moment.
No, I don't want to retract it.
You do or
Okay,
do not?
there's a motion on the floor. What was repeat the motion?
Motion was to hold the golf course closed session in open session.
Do I have a second?
You had a second earlier.
Do I have a second now?
Still have a second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No.
No.
Abstain.
So it's a 2-2. What happens now?
No. Fails.
Aye.
You have to have majority, so the motion fails.
What a surprise.
Oh, shocker.
I decided it worked out, bring it out from someone else.
I would with every crowd here. I can wait. It's fine with this crowd. I don't want to keep the public waiting. He's talking about juggling on this here.
Councilmember says there's going to be a. Say hi since we're.
Sorry, I'm not in there. I happen to have a property on the golf course, so.
Thanks for showing up.
What you doing, kid? That's on him. I know for me, I'm on the course. I mean.